Good afternoon, ma'am and classmate. So for this afternoon, I will going to discuss to you the historical and sociological base of special and inclusive education. So I am Eric de Miranda, PKED 3, and the reporter at this afternoon. So let's talk about muna the overview or the introduction of this topic, learning outcomes. So at the end of the 3-day session or the 1-day session, the pre-service teacher should be able to demonstrate knowledge of the development of special and inclusive education in the local and international context by constructing a historical timeline. Okay, so let's talk about the 3.1, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So 30 years ago, world leaders made an historic commitment to the world children by adopting the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. So, an international agreement on childhood, it's become the most widely ratified human rights. So, it is treaty in history and has helped transform children's lives around the world. But still not every child gets to enjoy a full childhood. Still, too many childhood are are cut short. So it is up to the generation to demand that leaders from the government, business and communities fulfill their commitment and take action for child's rights now. So once and for all, they must commit to making sure every child has every right. So in 1989, something incredible happened. So against to the backdrop of a changing world order, where world leaders came together and made an historic commitment to the world children. So they made a promise to every child to protect and fulfill their rights by adopting an international legal framework. So the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child contained in this treaty is a profound idea. So that children are not just objects who belong to other parents and for whom decisions are made. So are adult in training. So rather they are human beings and individuals with their own right. The convention says childhood is separate from adulthood and lasts until 18. It is a special, protected time in which human rights treaty in history and has helped transform children's lives. So let's go to the what is convention achieve. So the convention is the most widely ratified human right treaty in history. So it has inspired government to change laws and policies and make investment and so that more children finally get the health care and nutrition they need to survive and development. So and there are stronger safeguards in place to protect children from violence and exploitation. So it has also enabled more children to have their voices heard and participate in their societies. So childhood today, the new threats and new opportunities. So despite this progress, the convention is still not fully implemented or widely known the understood. So millions of children continue to suffer violation of their rights when they are denied adequate health care, nutrition, education, and protection from violence. So childhood continue to be cut short when children are forced to leave school, do hazardous work, to get married, fight in wars, or are locked up in adult prisons. So, in this matter po, kumbaga, that day or in the day pass, marami pa ring bata ang nakaka-experience ng pag-aabuso or sa murang edad nila ay sila ay pinupurso ng magpakasal at kung hindi naman magpakasal ay sinasabak agad sa mga gera upang mapakinabangan. Ngunit dahil dumating tong United Nations Convention for the Rights of the Child, naging malimit na lamang at hinigpitan nito na dapat ang mga bata ay malaya pa rin nakakapaglaro, malaya sila kung ano yung kailangan nila. Kasi 'di ba ang bata ay tinuturing pa nating child ay 18 below. 18 below. Unless na lang naglagpas siyang 18 na may special needs or may special na pangangailangan na dapat ay tuunan siya ng pansin ng kanyang mga magulang. Like sa 'di ba? Like in elementary, sa SPES, we are all know na may mga students sa SPES na above 18 na. So sila tinuturing pa silang child dahil sa kapansanan na kung anong meron sila na kailangan silang tuunan ng pansin at alagaan sa kanilang kung ano yung pinagdadaanan nila. Okay, let's move to what needs to happen. So the hope, vision, and commitment of world leaders in 1989 led to the convention. It is up to today's generation to demand that world leaders from government, business, and communities end child rights violation now. So once and for all, the most commit to action to make sure every child has every right. So let us continue. The UNCRC consists of 54 articles that set out children's rights, and now government should work together to make them available to all children. So under the terms of convention, government are required to meet children's basic needs and help them reach their full potential. Central to this is the acknowledgement that every child has basic fundamental rights. So this includes the right to life, the right to survival, and the right to development. Also, the right to protection from violence, abuse, and neglect. Right to an education that enables children to fulfill their potential. Right to be raised by or have a relationship with their parents. And lastly, right to express their opinions and be listened to. So in 2000, two optional protocols were added to the UNCRC. So one asked government to ensure children under the age 18 are not forcibly recruited into their armed forces. So the second calls on states to prohibit child prostitution, child pornography, and the sale of children into slavery. These have now been ratified by more than 120 states. So a third optional protocol was added in 2011. So this enabled children whose rights have been violated to complain directly to the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child. So who has signed up to the UNCRC? Since it was adopted by the United Nations in November 1989, 196 countries have signed up to the UNCRC, with only one country still to ratify. All countries that sign up to the UNCRC are bound by the international law to ensure it is implemented. So this is monitored by the Committee on the Rights of the Child. The UNCRC is also the only international human rights treaty to give non-government organization or the NGOs like Save the Children a direct role in the overseeing its implementation under the Article 45A. So in this in the Philippines, there are many non-government organization na in-implement din tong UNCRC. Like, example like the Educo Philippines. Kilala po siya nationwide and also international kasi meron silang international. In-implement din nila yung United Nations Convention for the Rights of the Child dahil upang mas sa mga bata at maintindihan palalo kung ano nga ba ang nilalaman nito. So ginawan din nila dito ng different activities, programs na involve yung parents, also the children na kabilang sa upang malaman nila ang kanilang mga karapatang pangbata. So siguro pati din po yung yung Children International, I guess. Nakikita ko lang sa Legazpi, meron din po doon. Siguro in-implement din nila to na children's rights. So yan. So who started the UNCRC? In fact, the world's very first declaration on child rights was written by Save the Children founder Eglantine Jeb. So in 1923. So we've been there from the start, so fighting for children's rights. So si Eglantine Jeb ay siya yung founder ng Save the Children. So siguro that year he experienced the different kind of abuse or naisip niyang gumawa nito upang ipaglaban ang mga karapatang pangbata. So why the UNCRC are important? So it is a bit of a mouthful, but it's known as the UNCRC for short, and it's because it is an international agreement nga to protect the rights of all children. So under the UNCRC, children whose rights are not protected by the country where they live have the right to appeal directly to the United Nations. That was passed by the United Nations or the UN in 1989 and was ratified in the UK in 1981. So the UNCRC is made up of 54 articles which outline the civil, political, social, economic, and cultural rights of children. So these are the rights that every child should have, so regardless of how they are in the world. So these rights should be met by the government of every country. So also, the four guiding principles upon this are non-discrimination, best interest of the child, survival and development, yun nga yung sinabi ko kanina, and also the respect for views of the child. So also the UNCRC, the main point of this is to recognize the rights of children and ensure that they grow up in the spirit of peace, dignity, tolerance, freedom, equality, and solidarity. Let's go talk about the 3.2, the UNESCO. So what is UNESCO? Okay, it is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So it seeks to build peace through international cooperation and education, the science and culture. So UNESCO's programs contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals defined in Agenda 2030. So adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2015. So ito pala si UNESCO ay muyay niya lang magkaroon ng peace through international. So apa dyan tawag dito, peace through international cooperation sa pamamagitan ng education, sa science, and also the culture. Okay, so political and economic arrangement of government are not enough to secure the lasting and sincere support of the peoples. Peace must be founded upon dialogue of mutual understanding. So peace must be built upon the intellectual and moral solidarity of humanity. In this spirit, UNESCO developed educational tools to help people live as global citizens free of hate and intolerance. UNESCO works so that each child and citizen has access to quality education by promoting cultural heritage and the equal dignity of all cultures. UNESCO strengthens bonds among nations. UNESCO fosters scientific programs and policies as platforms for development and cooperation. So UNESCO stands up for freedom of expressions as a fundamental right and the key condition for democracy and development. So serving as laboratory of ideas, UNESCO helps countries adopt international standards and manage programs that foster the free flow of ideas and knowledge sharing. UNESCO's founding vision was born in response to a world war that was marked by the racist and anti-Semitic violence. So 70 years on the many liberation struggles later, UNESCO's mandate is as relevant as ever. Cultural diversity is under attack and new form of intolerance, rejections of scientific facts and threats to freedom of expression, challenge peace and human rights. Its response, UNESCO's duty remains to reaffirm the humanist mission of education, science, and culture. So, si UNESCO ay um, tumutulong para ma-develop ang educational tools and also upang magkaroon din ng magkaroon din ng access to quality education. So si UNESCO also nagpo-promote the cultural heritage and the equal dignity of all cultures. So kumbaga si UNESCO yung tumutulong upang ma-develop ang education and the cultures na kung anong meron. So pinag-aaralan din nila yon upang mas lumago at makilala. So UNESCO has a unique role to play in strengthening the foundation of lasting peace and equitable and sustainable development. So advancing cooperating in education, the science, cultural, communication, and information holds strategic stakes and at a time when societies across the world face the rising pressures of change and the international community faces new challenges. So the document 37 CA 2014 and 2021 approved by the UNESCO General Conference defines a common strategic vision for the organization of the next 8 years and the century ahead. The strategic orientation laid out in the 37C4 document are translated into a program and budget document. So, document 39C5 and 2018-2019 covering of a 4-year cycle. So, while the budget allocation in the programs will be appropriated biennially. So, yan. Before we go to the next or the last discussion, so the UNESCO pala have a unique play nga. So, the UNESCO, the one who is strengthening the foundation of lasting peace and equitable and sustainable development. Sila yung may unique na role or to play, 'di ba? Sila malaki yung tulong ng UNESCO in terms sa pagkakaroon ng lasting peace, equitable and sustainable development. So malaki yung natulong ng UNESCO dito. So also sa pag-promoting ng mga cultures, so also sa pagtulong sa mga tools na needs sa educations, nandiyan si UNESCO. The last topic, the 3.3, educational for all, the EFA. The Philippine EFA 2015 plan is a vision and holistic program of reforms of the country to achieve an improved quality of basic education for every Filipino by 2015. So the central goal of the Philippine EFA 2015 is basic competences of all that will bring out functionally literary for all. So the formal education system in the Philippines is an sequential progression of academic schooling in 3 levels: the elementary or primary, secondary, and tertiary or the higher education. So basic education, or the primary and secondary, is centrally governed by the Department of Education, or DEP, and administers, supervises, and regulates the activities of both public and private primary and secondary goals. The first level in elementary or primary education consists of 6 compulsory grades: grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and grade 6 for public or state-run schools, and the 7 grades for some private schools. So this level includes an optional preschool education that consists of kindergarten, schooling, and other preparatory courses. So children should enter grade 1 at age of 6. The second level, secondary education for children aged 12 to 15. So consists of 4 years of high school for those who have successfully completed primary education. The Philippine EFA 2015 plan is a vision and a holistic program of reforms of the country to achieve and improve quality and basic education for every Filipino by 2015. The central goal of the Philippine EFA 2015 plan is basic competencies for all. It will bring about functionally literary for all. So ensuring that every Filipino has the basic competencies is equivalent to providing all Filipinos with the basic learning needs, or enabling the all Filipinos to be functionally literate, which means having a complete range, skill and competency, cognitive, affective, and behavioral, which enable individuals to live and work as human persons and function effectively in society within the context of their environment and that of the wider community. It's local, regional, national, and global, in order to improve the quality of their lives and that of the society. Where are right now is so far as the overall EFA goals are concerned. So, based on the latest educational figures for say 2008 and 2009, the main story for about is 85.1% of school-age Filipino age 6 to 11 years old, estimated to be around 13 million, who get into the country school is along the following lines. For every typical 100 entrants, 2,677,529 for C 2008-2009, to grade 1, only 60 would have some sort of organized early childhood education program. Only around 40 of them would be at the right age of 6. The other 60 would either be age 7 or older, with the net intake ratio of 48.41% for 2008-2001. It appears that majority, 52% of the country's 6 years population, are not in grade 1. 13 of these 100 entrants will not finish grade 1. A total of 24 would have left by the 4th grade, and while the 75 will reach grade 6. So only 73 will finish the 6th grade, taking average of 7.3 years finish. So the main percentage scores or the MPS, one of these primary level graduates in only 65 with scores of English at 61.6 MPS, mathematics at 63.9, and science at 57.9. So for every typical 100 entrants, so 1,979,337 to first year high school, 80 will reach the fourth year but only 75 will complete high school. So taking an average of 5.6 years to finish one quality education is reflected through the result of the National Achievement Test or the NAT, Satisfactory Achievement Level Translate. And so because of people can become better citizens, so knowing right from wrong, allowing for a better society where laws are allowed, an educated nation knows about the importance of voting, so doing so with the knowledge not blindly but also having an understanding of what their party truly stands for. And dahil may senior high school, so bale siguro dun sa percentage mas marami pa yung hindi nakakapagtuntong dahil sa nasasawa na sila mag-aral or may mga reason na gusto na magtrabaho kisa mag-aral pa dahil 'di ba 2 years pa yun bale isipin natin almost ilang years tayo sa high school makikipagsapalaran. At the age of dapat 16, 'di ba, graduate na dapat tayo, we are college na. So ngayon sa college tayo marami at age of 22 or 21 saka tayo graduate ng college ng tertiary education, so that yung iba at ginagawa na lang nilang pagtatrabaho yung instead na mag senior high, hindi na sila nagtitake ng senior high, nagtatrabaho na sila at ginagamit na yung 4 years nila sa junior high. Hope you understand and may nakuha kayong lessons about sa karapatang pangbata and alam na natin na may and alam na natin. So yon, and again, thank you so much and keep safe always. God bless you all. Thank you and bye-bye. Yun na po, ma'am. Tapos na po. Salamat po.